Morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the 10 data trends of 2025. My name is Geoffrey Smulders, and I will be hopefully guiding you to an interesting tour of what we think the data trends of 2025 are, based on our own experience and, of course, market experience, what we see. Obviously, in 2025, data and AI will continue to redefine boundaries of business innovation and efficiency. We're going to delve in some of these trends. And it's evident that, of course, leveraging your data is going to be pivotal to stay ahead of the competitive landscape. We're going to talk about foundations of AI, to really nuances of data privacy, and hopefully we'll give you a comprehensive look on the data trends that are reshaping our business today. We're going to have some time at the end for Q&A. If you have any questions, please type them into the questions panel, and I'll be reviewing them at the end of the slides. So to dive right in, data as a foundation for AI is, of course, one of the most important trends we see. It's inevitable that AI is all around us, and obviously your data and your AI go hand in hand, and your AI is only as smart as the data you feed it. As we always say, we used to say this with data analytics also, garbage in, garbage out. So let's make sure that your data is ready for those data-driven insights or AI-driven insights. So unifying all these vast amounts of data and business data with either CRM data or EP data, we have to kind of lay a robust foundation so we can actually power the AI model, because the output of the model is only as good as the quality of the prompt. That's obvious. So if we are helping you first understand prompt engineering very well, then we also need to have the data have the foundation for the quality of the data, and the relevant data that is being sent to the AI model has to have a good data quality. By centralizing the data in a correct way, companies can deploy, of course, their advanced analytics, predict your customer needs, your personalized interactions, and streamlining your operations, all aimed at delivering superior service and boosting your customer satisfaction. Now, creating this data foundation requires, of course, more than only the right technical capability to store this data, but it also involves setting the right data architectures, governance, and quality controls, so ensure that the data is constantly accessible, it's accurate, and it's secure. So we want to kind of reduce the data silos we all live in and create a single source of truth, which is going to be crucial for AI systems, because they have to be able to access all the data in all systems as much as possible to have the right output, of course, and to get the quality output that really gives the context to the reasoning that the AI models kind of offer from a quality output point of view. So important to note that once the data is really understood and well identified, we can give the AI the right input to trigger also the correct workflows on the back end of your system and allow it to function correctly. Linked to that is, of course, data as a product or as a service. I think we'll see a trend that AI agents are being treated as data products, but we have to be very carefully trying to think about data as more than just a project or a service, but really a product. So in the past, we've seen on the left side of this slide that obviously we are trying to acquire as much data as possible from different systems. We prepare the data using ELT or ETL tools, and we deliver that data to one of the business domain in your organization. And basically that's where it stops, and that's where the traditional data analytics systems would work quite a lot. We see obviously a trend that we have to see data much more as a data as a product. And what does that mean? That the data needs to be accessible at all times. It needs to be consumable by different systems and users, and it needs to be able to transpose over the different business domains. It also requires much more real-time updating. So real-time data updates or real-time data decision-making is going to be important, so we have the information available at all times. And obviously, we cannot repeat this enough. Data quality and reliability are important. Now, how do we see data as a product? A bit more, maybe to give you a more example, the Snowflake data marketplace is a very good place to see that. Snowflake allows, for example, companies to sell, share, and monetize their data directly to its data marketplace. So why is that a data product? Well, companies like Experian, FactSet, and WeatherSource actually monetize real-time data feeds to other businesses to really externalize those data sets for analytics, AI models, or decision making. So the impact is, for example, a retailer can buy consumer spend trend data to optimize their inventory, or a healthcare company can access anonymized data sets on the marketplace to train their AI models and actually have better data insights and use data as a product in that example. That obviously links also to the next trend number 3 of this slide deck, which is data monetization. Now, data monetization has been around for quite a while, and I think it's obviously that we see that the embedded analytics market is expected to grow to $132 billion by the end of 2029. Now, what is embedded analytics has to do with data monetization? Embedded analytics is nothing more than actually embedding your analytics platform or your data or your graphs into either your customer-facing website or into your application, and it just works seamlessly with the applications you're offering, whether it's to the B2B market or to your consumer market. So we obviously see that companies are waking up to a gold mine of their own data, and whether you either sell it, embed it, or use it to cut costs, data monetization is a future of business growth and is often still today an underestimated revenue stream for companies. So one of the examples, of course, is to sell first-party or proprietary data. Let's say you have a lot of information about consumer data, or you have anonymized data about some kind of patterns you see in your business. It's really easy to sell these things on the marketplace, as we mentioned earlier, for example, Snowflake, or on the AWS marketplace from Amazon, to really move forward with that. But so data monetization is going to be closely linked to treating data as a product or offering data as a service, and is really the new revenue stream you need to find for your data assets. A second, more advanced example is to really launch a data platform or product. Instead of just selling first-party data or proprietary data from your organization as data sets or providing them access to the data sets, we can also start thinking of building a data platform, or think about your customer experience platform, where your B2B or consumer customers log in and actually can see graphs, insights, completely tailored, personalized for them. And that offers you a kind of a way to add more revenue or have upsell on access for certain data points in that platform. A third example is really looking at those internal processes and really cost savings, and really understanding how we can improve internal processes and applying data monetization as an impact onto that. Now, there's a maturity curve we've seen with multiple customers. We've helped probably a few hundred customers already with their data monetization challenges and embedded analytics. And we always see it starts from a very point of view at stage 1 to treat your data as an asset. That's the big mind shift you have to do. Your data is not only available for you as the internal processes, but it's an asset for your business. And there will be, of course, also liabilities and costs linked to that. Once you understand those initial use cases and business models, you can kind of discover with small proof of concepts or prototypes what you can do to sell data to customers or to have more upsell of your data to your different business lines. Once you see the value, you'll quickly can see, and this is quite different with analytics that runs internally, you can quickly see the return on investment, because it's very tangible to understand. If I have this kind of data sets and I will give access to some customers that want those insights, we can quickly see what the return on investment would be if we charge some money for that. And once we've reached that stage, you can accelerate your data monetization platform, and you will see a new revenue stream popping up as an asset in your organization. Now, jumping to the next trend is, of course, data activation through AI agents. We've been talking a lot about AI agents, and we'll talk more during the coming year. I do think that AI agents are really the next step for 2025. It's not to be stopped, where we talk about Agent Force or platforms from ChatGPT that will come out, or Microsoft. AI agents will dominate 2025, and all organizations have to start thinking about what can we do with AI agents, or do we have a plan to deploy them? So I think if we look back at the wave that we saw, and it always goes in different waves, the same happened with digital transformation. From 2016 onwards, we saw deep learning creating kind of an acceleration. Salesforce came out with Einstein as an added value to your Salesforce organizations. Einstein could do fantastic things like advanced analytics, predictive analytics, or make suggestions to your business. And then other platforms like OpenAI, GPT-1 came out. Google used to name BERT, which is now Google Gemini, started launching, and effectively the big jump started to happen. And we saw that from GPT-3. And really, if we jump forward to what happened in the last few years, we've all seen that, is that suddenly we have these super intelligent assistants popping up, what we call co-pilots of assisted agents that are sitting and living next to us as GPTs that we can talk to, and that can assist us with helping us draft an email or helping us search something in our Drive folder. That's the way we're in. Where we're really seeing the acceleration today is the autonomous AI agents. So if we go back to the first step, and I think some of you as an organization will have probably used chatbots. We definitely used BizBot on our Biztory website as a chatbot. Let's say chatbots are the training wheels or the toddler wheels with the 3 wheels on the bike, really for your first steps. The co-pilots really became smart assistants, but AI agents, they take a step further. They actually are going to start to think, reason, plan, and autonomously take action for your business. So it's a pivotal trend for data utilization. It will be able to quite automate complex tasks. We have to think about RPA, where I think process automation was already a big thing, but now AI agents can really make smart decisions and intelligent decisions that take over tasks that were being run by a human. Now, that doesn't mean that humans will disappear in these processes, but really the repetitive tasks or the questionnaires or the information requests on whether it's invoicing details or understanding complex documents or pricing is where AI agents will start playing a role really into the B2B factor there. Now, of course, data activation is important. We have to transform the raw data into formats that are rich text that AI agents can understand. And that process is crucial because, again, as we mentioned earlier, the utility of your AI agents, the success of your agents is going to be heavily depending on the quality, the relevance of the readiness of the data they can access. So as we can see, chatbots in the past worked with fixed rule and repetitive tasks. For the ones in the call that have built a chatbot before, you had to think of all these if then else statements. If a human says this, then you have to reply with this. We had to in front give all the potential answers for a chatbot and help them understand how they should respond. That has passed with co-pilots. Now, co-pilots, we have seen that we can talk to as a human to an assistant, and it will kind of figure out what you mean and give you some ideas to what you will need to do. But a co-pilot will not always be autonomously able to take an action. It will merely point out to you that's where you need to go, or this is the help file where you find information. And with AI agents, they will understand your business because they will be trained specifically on a single task of data. They will be able to plan and reason on the input you give, take action, and be able to scale. Now, if you have multiple agents that are going to work together, we also can see that AI will be able to have multiple agents talking to each other or passing tasks to another agent, really autonomously working for your business. And in that sense, moving away the repetitive tasks for your human workforce and allowing them to focus on more important things. Now, the next trend, of course, is the deployment of these AI product innovations, because we can all talk about it and we can say, hey, you have to think about AI agents, but how do we actually do that? And what is happening on the market? Well, there's still quite a big gap between the demand for AI and the reality. And that's always been the factor with new technology. It's not that easy to deploy within an organization, but we do think that AI innovation is not really the problem, but deployment will be the challenge. So there's going to be a gap, inevitably, between AI hype and AI reality. It's bridged by strategy only, not technology. Technology is not limiting us, it's really the strategic approach you take on this. So we see that almost 80% of leaders today want to implement AI across the business. However, 63% of companies lack the capabilities to operationalize that AI. So even with a lot of AI projects in the last few years, I think there's a few reports that came out that a staggering 85% of them never transitioned from a prototyping stage to full-scale production. And these gaps have different reasons. No clear strategic direction, how AI systems can access multiple data sources. No strategic direction on how an AI agent should behave itself. So there's kind of a gap that we need to understand and help bridge together. Obviously, there are some ideas for that, but we really need to focus on the prototyping session needs to be able to scale, integrate, and remove any constraints. So we need to focus on quality of data. We need to focus on the harmony between systems. Obviously, we need to look at the cost factor because AI also comes with a cost. And we also need to look at the privacy issues so that your AI is not going to hallucinate or share things with your customers that you don't want to be shared. So if we look at scalability, prototypes often work very well in very controlled small-scale environments because they're based on very small data sample sets, but they do fail to handle increased loads or complexity of real-world data when they're scaled up. Now, if we look back at what we told earlier, if you put your data as a foundation correct, as a single source of truth, that's a problem you can tackle or a challenge you can avoid to really have that scalability right. Now, integration is also important because if your AI systems need to be autonomous, we need to understand very well how workflows in your organization work. And often workflows, processes are in the minds of many of your employee workforce, in the minds of us as humans, but they're not always well documented or well existing structured or don't have the access to systems. Think about your workday today, and there's often a quote I say, in the average enterprise, there's more than 1,000 different applications running. We know very well, I have to click on, for example, Salesforce to do this, and I have to go to Workday to execute this, and then I have to open my HR application to go here, then I have to go to SAP to go here, and we know to click and how to move to all those systems, and we know the process very well. But an AI system needs to be able to integrate and access those backend APIs automatically if we want to have it available to scale on the first level. And obviously, moving to production is not only a technological attachment, but also requires budget, staffing, personnel, time, training, and understanding that we need to train an AI agent and product just like we train a new employee. It's basically almost onboarding a human in your organization, but it's an AI agent. The AI agent also needs to have some training, UAT testing, and understanding what answers it can give and learn from that. So it's quite a strategic decision. But it's not only a technological problem, it's merely a process problem that we have to challenge. Now, obviously, cloud first. You could say, Geoffrey, why are you going to talk about that? We've been in the cloud for so many times already, but cloud first analytics is really coming up much more and more. I think if we see the systems today, a lot of proprietary data warehousing tools or BI tools are still running, as we call, on-premise or locally into organizations. Some of these on-premise systems have been brought in to maybe cloud platforms like running VMs on an Amazon, Azure, or Google, or any other your cloud platform to your preference, but it's not really a cloud-first analytics stack. At Biztory, this is our preferred analytics stack. This is our overview for cloud-first analytics stack. And you can see that all these systems are able to really live in the cloud first and are designed as cloud first platforms now to really help you out. It's really important that the key here is a shift to what we call zero copy sharing and also AI powered insights. So what do we mean with that? I think we're shifting away from a time where we have to ingest, copy, and move data constantly from left to right. So in the past, we've just connected to a lot of systems. We upload all that data to a data warehouse or data lake, and we have to constantly repeat that process. Now, I'm not saying that age is done, but let's say if we have a very rigid and modern data warehouse today, like Snowflake, you can see on the screen here in the middle, complex integrations with Salesforce's data cloud, for example, do not require you anymore to move data from left to right, to just enable zero copy sharing and have that data just stay where it is, but have the availability to have the platforms access the data on multiple levels. Now, this is important from a cost perspective. You don't have to constantly push data from left to right anymore, which comes with a cost. Uploading and downloading data is just effectively comes with a cost factor, but also it allows, again, what I said earlier, to have AI systems access the metadata from different systems without having them to have it in one place, just enable it as a complete connected system. Now, what is also important with cloud services, especially in analytics, that they can be scalable. Right? Platforms like Snowflake have really adaptable, flexible pricing. You pay for what you use. And we're going to see that trend coming to other platforms also. You see ThoughtSpot, Sigma, they have similar offerings. I think Tableau is also on that market, a specific view only of pay-per-view options for the data monetization models. So we'll see that kind of coming. The flexibility is also very important. We need to be able to scale down and scale up very fast when we need them. Right? Traditionally, if we talk in B2B, of course, these systems are underutilized in the weekends, except maybe on a Sunday evening when management is trying to see what the week is coming up to. But we see that these systems need to be flexible and they need to be able to integrate easily and seamlessly with other cloud services or enable things like data sharing, which are interesting for data monetization, but also collaboration on different departments and different geographical locations. There's all kinds of rules and regulation on local data sharing for the European market, but maybe, for example, Switzerland has their local data regulations, has their local data regulations, and we need to be able to store the data locally in the cloud where the data can live, but it needs to be accessible globally, which is quite a challenge with traditional data warehousing. Now, edge computing, we've also put on here, an edge computing, for the ones who don't know, this is edge computing basically brings AI and data processing maybe directly to devices. So I'm going to contradict myself a little bit on we have to be cloud first, but you cannot always wait for the cloud to do your heavy lifting, heavy computing. So edge computing is really having more of a local data processing and local AI processing and devices. You'll see platforms like Apple launching specific chips, and I think NVIDIA is also on that level, really having the capabilities in our local phones or local devices to really allow ourselves to do some of the heavy lifting and local computing there, because cloud is not always the device where you need to do that. It will also, of course, reduce latency and unlock really real-time intelligence locally for those specific needs, but also will probably put down your cost a little bit and bandwidth, which is needed from a cloud's perspective, and the speed of data processing. Really important insight we're going to see happening. With all the AI agents, obviously NLP, natural language processing, comes into play. We see that this is a very much strong growing market, has been for quite a while, but I think we're finally reached to the point that NLP has reached a pivotal point that machines or models now understand us better than ever. It's no longer about chatbots. It's really about turning those conversations into real business decisions and reasoning conversations. I myself, I think for those that use either Gemini or ChatGPT, You can now real-time screen share, or you can absolutely talk to your model and have some kind of reasoning conversation, especially when you have a private model that is learning about you. So for myself, when I'm in the car or I'm on the road, I have probably minutes and half hours or hour conversations with my AI agent just to understand if I'm thinking about some pricing conversation for Biztory, or if I'm thinking about some business challenge I want to solve. I try to have the reasoning, which are the conversations I used to have in my head, now together with a model that is really understanding me very, very well. So it's going to advance only very much better how humans interact with machines. Yeah? I think the NVIDIA CEO said a while ago that English is the only programming language you need to understand, because we are going to have to really have our prompts correct, have our conversations with machines, understanding very well what we want them to understand, and they will have a reasoning and more accurate and unbiased capability of handling complexities of the human language. So we will see much more advances in how machine learning works, how linguistics work, and really deep learning of how humans interact will help our machines and AI models really understand us better. What is also much more something that's going to really come up, personalization with Customer 360 is obviously a very strong suit where Salesforce, for example, was already kind of a market leader. But hyper-personalization is going to come up much, much more. For hyper-personalization, if you look at the screen here, we see kind of all these potential use cases, whether you're running Salesforce or Service Cloud, or you have a marketing in another system, you have a point of sale, you have maybe Slack or Teams or Google Chat, you have some web application, analytics. All these systems have use cases and workflows, and they have data below that. Now, ideally, of course, we positioned here Snowflake and Data Cloud, but they need to be able to work together, which of course then activates all these kinds of personalized messaging, sales packages, support, landing pages, insights, web flows, notifications, and obviously also AI agents. We've said this a few times before in the past, but not only consumers that work on very trendy, fancy looking web shops, but also B2B customers expect a consumer-like experience too today. A B2B user wants a consumer-like experience. So your customers almost expect, I would say, Netflix-style recommendations, Amazon-like convenience, and personalized experiences everywhere. And obviously, with the use of AI, we can make hyper-personalization very scalable. It's a crucial trend. It really offers in-depth data insights to tailor product service interactions to unique preferences. We'll see much more coming of this into the retail sector. I'm happy to see that we're going to see completely personalized shopping assistants that will help you match the right clothing. This is not going to be done by humans anymore. This will be helped by AI agents, and we'll see much more tailored products. And even I will think there's a trend that we will see completely bespoke products being created for a certain group of consumers or users, because we want to hyper personalize, which gives the consumer or the B2B customer a more personalized approach, and a happy customer is a loyal customer. So that's why I think this will be trending up heavily in the future. Now, as a last slide, and of course, very important, privacy and data governance comes up very well. I don't want to scare anyone, but of course, with the AI capabilities, it's much more easy to impersonate, to fake, to scam, to whatever you want to do. But keeping your data private is absolutely a top priority. 80% of companies are saying that security is a top priority, but how many are actually enforcing it? Privacy is not about compliance, it's about competitive advantage. So enhancing privacy and governance cannot be a trend. It's a critical requirement for businesses as they navigate complexities of data management in a heavily regulated environment. So increasing regulations like GDPR in Europe or the CCPA in California are reflecting a global shift towards greater accountability and enhanced protection of personalized data. So we do see that multi-factor authentication has finally been quite on the topic, but then there's identity and access management. There's data encryption that you need to be able to do. There's event monitoring. There's mandatory privacy and security training for your personnel and staff. And even there's data backup and restore solutions. We also see a trend that all companies are using cloud providers or platforms that have data in their cloud, but then we really want another backup as a safeguard. We also have to start testing on phishing emails or phishing phone calls, which are happening way more and more, and there are probably other examples. So I really emphasize that using these frameworks to ensure your data is qualitatively secured, is governed, and is ethical is going to be important for the future.